You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hi, we are Enterprise-Splaining, the podcast where we explain Star Trek Enterprise to each other and to you. I am Jamie, and these are my co-hosts Maria.
Hello.
And Bill.
I send my best wishes to everybody.
Today we're going to be talking about the Star Trek Enterprise episode, The Communicator. However, I am the only person here who has actually watched it, so it's my job to explain to my co-hosts what happened on the episode. Computer, tell us a bit about the episode we'll be talking about this week.
The Communicator. Archer and Reed return to a pre-warp society that is on the verge of war to recover a lost communicator.
Now it's time for Two Truths and a Lie. I'm going to tell you two truths and one lie about the episode, and you can guess which is the lie. Are you ready?
Yes.
So ready.
Statement 1. Trip loses an arm.
Is it his arm or is it someone else's? Let's find out.
It was here a minute ago.
Trip, whatever you do, do not lose this arm.
Statement 2. Archer shows appreciation for T'Pol's advice and puts it into practice.
Oh. Okay.
Statement 3. Trip makes fun of the name of an alien species.
Plausible.
All right, guys. Which one is the lie?
What, just because they're called the Buttlings, Trip, doesn't mean you have to...
Trip loses an arm. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of shit does happen to Trip.
I'm sorry, what was the second one?
Archer shows appreciation for T'Pol's advice and puts it into practice.
He's done that before, though. He's definitely backed her up.
So he's backed
It's not
her
about
up,
backing her up. It's
actually
appreciation for
taking
her
her
advice
advice?
and putting it into action.
I like that one too much, so I'm gonna go with number 3. Number 3 is the lie.
I'm gonna go with what I believe is the obvious one, but it's probably a red herring, is the Archer takes T'Pol's advice and thanks her for it.
Well, we will find out. While you ponder what this week's lie may be, let's hear from one of our sister podcasts on the ESO Network.
Reasons why you should be listening to the Modern Musicology podcast. 1. Rob is a music journalist and radio host. 2. Stephanie played drums in a 90s band called the Aquanettas and works at major record labels. 3. Anthony was once the webmaster of the official Marillion website. And 4. Alan is a drummer who played in Kiss, Heart, Bowie, and Kate Bush tribute bands. 4 hosts with different backgrounds, but all obsessed with music. Modern Musicology, the podcast for serious music fans, part of the ESO Network.
Cold Open. Archer, Malcolm, and Hoshi are back on the Enterprise after a successful mission to a pre-warp culture. They all have bumpy forehead makeup on and are wearing very drab-looking shirts with vests over it. It's a little kind of old-fashioned looking. They go to decon where they are peeling their makeup off, but they do not strip down to their underwear or use the gel. So apparently you go to decon and then they scan you and determine if you have to do
It's like a holding area. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, so I also was like, oh, that does make sense. Yes. So they go to decon, they're taking their makeup off, and they're just chatting about the planet and the architecture. They thought the architecture was so cool. Malcolm in particular is geeking out over how much he loved this planet because apparently there was a lot of military stuff going on. They're on the verge of a big war with another nation. They even attended a political rally, and Malcolm says that the speaker at the political rally reminded him of Winston Churchill.
Of course it did.
Phlox tells them that he is not detecting anything to worry about, so they are free to leave decon. No need for gellings. They leave decon, and then they're turning all of their equipment in. So they're going through all their pockets. Malcolm's going through his pockets. He takes out his phaser, turns it in. He takes out his sensor, he turns it in. And then he reaches into another pocket for something and gets a very worried look on his face. And then he starts checking his other pockets. He is in a full-on panic and is just like, dude, where is my communicator?
Oh no.
Oh no!
Oh, I think this was one from our season end or mid-season review.
Yep.
This sounds
from
familiar.
the Two Truths and a Lie from Sue.
Is this the Gangster Planet? Is this what turns into the Gangster Planet from the original series?
What?
Oh, we can't even get into this. I'll explain it to you later.
All right.
Nope.
No, that is how that episode ends.
So my first reaction to Malcolm losing his communicator was that he is so irresponsible. It's so unprofessional. How could he do something like this? And then I remembered that literally 1 week ago, I went to a party at my friend's house and I left my phone there. And I had to go back the next morning and it sucked. I had to get out my iPad and was messaging her from my iPad. I was so embarrassed that I left my phone there. So I cannot judge Malcolm on this. This is something that I do.
Embarrassing because these friends were cavemen who had never heard
That's
of
what I was
electricity.
about to say. It's not like you were hiding your phone from your friends. You had it out and were able to use it. So setting it down on a table would make sense for you to do, but not so much for Malcolm.
And theme song. So that brings us to our Diane Warren update of the week. Diane Warren has honestly just not really been up to a lot ever since she lost her 16th Oscar. Her Instagram
And her house burned down.
Her Instagram is mostly just photos of her cat with captions that include pussy puns. Her cat is named Rabbit, by the way, and has truly the largest ears of any cat I've ever seen. Aww. It's very weird looking, but in the cutest way.
Maria, is Diane Warren turning into Mrs. Slocum?
I was just thinking that.
Wait, I don't understand this reference.
It's this
You don't
old
need
British
to.
show from the 70s
Very
called
old.
Are You Being Served? And in the classic tradition of British naughtiness, she kept making jokes about her pussy.
Talks about her pussy all the time.
Diane Warren makes pussy jokes on every photo of her cat, all the time. Diane Warren loves a pussy joke.
Great. Fantastic.
As much as I hate doing this, I decided maybe there is something going on with her. I should probably check that cursed website X, because maybe she's doing something over there that she isn't doing on Instagram.
Sure.
I didn't see that much of interest at first, and then I decided to do something that I don't think I've ever done on her page, which is click on her replies to see who she's replying to.
Oh.
Okay.
And this is how I discovered that she responded to some tweet by Elon Musk with Nazis of a feather stick together.
Nice.
So she's still on Twitter for some reason.
Yeah.
But
presumably to shit on Elon Musk.
yeah, at least she's using her time there to call Elon Musk a Nazi. So good for her.
Yeah.
And that was really the only thing of note happening on her Twitter. Otherwise, she was not up to much. There is an event coming up at Carnegie Hall at the end of April where she will be honored by the New York Pops, and they're going to be doing a concert featuring all of her hit songs.
Holy shit. We got to go. We got to hear them do... do you suppose they're going to do that Bugs Bunny on Broadway thing where they project the opening credits for Star Trek Enterprise on there and they play Faith of the Heart?
I do not think they're going to do that.
I went to New York this past October to go see some plays, and let me tell you, I can't afford another trip because those hotel rooms are so expensive. You cannot find a hotel room for under $600 in New York these days.
Yep.
So I will not be going. I love Diane Warren, but unless somebody wants to pay for a hotel for me, I cannot do that. All right, back to the episode. When we come back from the theme song, we see Malcolm, Archer, and Hoshi, and they are all frantically searching everywhere for the communicator. They're looking under tables. They're digging through trash cans, which, by the way, first of all, have we seen a trash can on the Enterprise? Ever?
Never. I've seen them
And two,
eject things into space.
Malcolm takes everything out of the trash can looking for the communicator, and everything in the trash can is just crumpled pieces of paper. And I'm like, when have we ever seen paper?
Never.
Where
Yeah,
is this paper on the Enterprise? I don't believe it.
I was really hoping Phlox was coming out of a full body cavity search of Malcolm. It's well, he doesn't have it on him.
I did find that bloodworm, though.
Call back.
The only time that we have ever seen paper on this show was that time that Trip was looking at a child's drawing on a piece of paper, and
Well,
we still
in the
have no
future-
idea how he got
In the
that.
future, they did go to the library where they had
Printed
paper
up.
books.
Oh, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
Mhm.
Malcolm is very upset with himself. The last time he used the communicator was right after they got down to the planet, which means it could be anywhere.
I was contacting my girlfriend Shanandra, who has luscious lips, and
My girlfriend in Canada.
Was definitely her name is
Space
Alberta.
Kennedy.
And apparently Find My iPhone has not been invented yet.
That was going to be my question, is because is in Enterprise, do communicators tell people where you are? I don't know that that's true.
Apparently
There's
not.
no GPS on communicators, is there?
Well, technically for GPS, you would need satellites.
Well, there's that, but
I'm not talking about GPS. I'm talking about-
You can find it, yeah.
The ability to figure it out. So you've got that, and you've got transporters. Problem solved. End of episode.
In later, like TNG Trek, they can find people through their communicator badges.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Right.
I don't know if they have that tech now.
They specifically seem to not have that, but then Hoshi gets an idea. She thinks that she can scan for like a specific signal it would be giving off and find it. And she does narrow it down to 3 city blocks. And there was a tavern on one of those blocks that they visited. So Archer and Malcolm are like, let's go back to that tavern and look for the lost communicator.
It's a gay bar.
Oh, I wish.
Yeah, really.
It's the Blue Oyster Bar from
That's a much better episode from
Police
Police
Academy.
Academy.
As they are heading back down to the planet in the shuttle, Malcolm is like really beating himself up over this. He tells Archer, Captain, my carelessness was inexcusable. I'm prepared for whatever reprimand you feel is appropriate.
Whatever reprimand. you
Whatever it
feel.
is.
Whatever.
Any reprimand.
Any reprimand. No, it's okay. No, really. Any reprimand.
Tell me how bad I've been, Captain.
Archer responds, how about 30 years in the brig? Or maybe a good flogging?
Oh, boy. Oh, this escalated quickly. I see where this is going.
Malcolm goes, really?
And then he wakes up in med bay and flops his sleep.
You were talking in your sleep.
Who's Stinky?
Malcolm looks incredibly worried, and then Archer clarifies that he is just joking and tells him it was just an accident. It could have happened to anyone. So they get down to the planet and they go into this tavern. It's not a rowdy tavern like we saw in last week's episode. It's like not rough types. It's more like a gastropub kind of feel. Everyone in this tavern is wearing either the same kind of casual drab clothes with vests like we saw our Enterprise crew wearing, or they are wearing some sort of uniform, like a military uniform. It's giving World War II. Archer and Malcolm sit down at a table and then they start looking around in the most suspicious manner possible. I mean,
So bad at being sneaky.
even walking to their table, they're like looking around, like acting like too casual in this way where you look at them and you're like, these guys are up to something.
These guys are not capable of being chill. We have already discovered this. They're so bad at blending it.
How great would it be if the bar had like a lost and found and it's just filled with all this alien technology from all the like aliens that have visited there? There's like a
Just pull this
Klingon
big
dagger,
box on the
Klingon
floor.
dagger, and you know, like there's a Borg eyeball.
And like people are noticing them, like people are looking over at them, like because they're again being so obviously suspicious. And then they get to the table. Archer kind of like keeps a lookout while Malcolm like kind of crawls under the table looking for the communicator. But unfortunately, they don't find it. It's not under the table. And then Malcolm kind of surreptitiously gets out his scanner to try to scan for the communicator. But right then a man approaches to take their order and he like quickly puts it away.
Hi, I'm Steve. Can I tell you about our specials today? We have a special mango mahi mahi that is really delicious. No, thank you, Steve.
Go away, Steve.
He welcomes them back to the tavern, so he recognizes them from last time. And he asks where their young woman friend is, saying she was difficult to forget and smiling in the most lecherous manner.
Ew, that's Hoshi? That was Hoshi, right?
Yeah, he's talking about Hoshi.
I'm really disappointed because when I heard the title of this, I thought it was going to be about Hoshi as the communicator.
Oh, that would make so much sense.
Yeah, I'm real bummed about it. I thought it was going to be a Hoshi-focused
barely in this episode.
Yeah.
He leaves, and then Malcolm gets the scanner out again, and he picks up the signal. It's pretty close to them. It appears to be in a room in their building, but not in an area that they had visited previously.
Well, not that Malcolm had admitted to visiting previously.
Employees only.
Archer and Malcolm then get up, and they, again, in the most suspicious manner possible, pretend like they're just wandering around the bar, but like heading towards the corridor where they picked up the signal. And everyone in the bar is noticing this and like looking over at them, including the tables filled with military men. They then go into this corridor and they find the room that the communicator seems to be in, but they are sensing that there are two people in the room with it. So they decide that they're going to just head back to their table and wait for the people in that room to leave.
Well, that's actually smart of them, because I would have thought they'd just barged in.
As they re-enter the bar, the men in military uniforms notice and get up to intercept them. And Malcolm just does a nod to Archer, then runs at one of the men and punches him in the face while Archer grabs a table and throws it at them.
What?
And so now they're like, everyone's throwing punches.
Great.
But our Enterprise guys, they are outnumbered 2-1, and both Archer and Malcolm are captured.
This is like in a video game when you're trying to sneak around and you actually accidentally press the circle key instead of the triangle key.
Dancing.
And you punch a guy
And you're
right
like,
in
"Oh,
the
shit."
face, and suddenly everybody goes red.
I think Archer's just bad at being in a bar, because at the last episode too, that scene in the bar where he's like, oh, you can't find the guy? Let me jump up on a table and whistle. So he shoots at me. I still don't know what his plan was there.
Archer and Malcolm are then brought into the room where they had sensed that the communicator was. And there's a man in there who he's sort of seems to be like the leader of these military guys. And he holds up their communicator to them and asks them if it belongs to them.
Ugh.
The military guys then go through their pockets and confiscate all of their other high-tech equipment. So now they not only have a communicator, they also have a second communicator, sensors, and a phaser.
Great work, guys.
Good job. Things are going great.
And then he asks them some questions like, what is the purpose of this? What is this for? And Archer and Malcolm don't say anything. He tells his assistant to call General Gossis and tell him that he found a pair of enemy spies for the Alliance. Then he turns to Archer and says, "You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor." No, Eric told me to say that. He does not say that. But yeah, the Alliance is the enemies that they're fighting.
If this is a counselor ship, where is the ambassador? Do we have a sense of the technology level of this civilization? Do they have electricity, for example?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say everything is giving like a World War II aesthetic.
Okay.
And we'll see later that they have like military aircraft and they have guns.
Okay. So maybe they don't have like cell phones, but they know, okay.
So
Yeah.
like maybe so like you're saying, World War II, like 1940s, 1950s.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. We also there's some line somewhere that says that they have not yet split the atom. Like Archer says that about them. So we know that they're not at that. They're prior to that point in their technological evolution.
Interesting. Okay.
Meanwhile, back on the Enterprise, T'Pol comes down to Archer to check in. T'Pol to Captain Archer. But she doesn't get a response. They are still tracking the communicator and then notice that it has moved. And it's like moved pretty far, like too far for them to have gone on foot.
Just a random thought. Transporters.
Same. Eric was also like, there was some point where he's like, transporters? What about transporters?
They have them.
It is such a problem that they have transporters. Because if they had just not introduced transporters, then fine. This is all fine.
It would be a better show without the transporters.
Or
We've
if they
already
had
seen Star
literally-
Trek with
or They had
transporters.
severely limited him. If they hadn't transported Archer, if they hadn't transported other people, it's like this needs to go from a transporter to another transporter. You know, it's not something that we can just use randomly.
Berman and Braga did say that they had not wanted transporters.
Yeah.
But the network insisted that they were like, it's not Star Trek without transporters.
Yeah. All right.
Back on the planet, Archer and Malcolm have been brought to some sort of military prison. And Malcolm says that maybe they should just tell them the truth. But Archer says that no one would believe them if they did.
That's true. They don't have a prime directive, so they could just tell him the truth.
Yeah. Archer and Malcolm are then brought to General Gossis. And I was so excited when I saw General Gossis because I recognized him. Because the actor is Francis Guinan, and I recognized him not from any other media, but because he is an ensemble member at the Steppenwolf Theater in Chicago, where I happen to go see a lot of plays.
Oh, yeah, I know this guy.
Oh my God, they meet Guinan?
He's great.
I just saw him like in the past year in this play called Noises Off. He's now 73. It was like a slapstick comedy. He played this older man that kept forgetting his lines because there was like a play within a play. And he was really funny. He did a lot of like very funny physical comedy. I already have tickets to 2 plays this fall that he's going to be in Chicago.
Awesome.
So,
Jamie,
to our listeners. Yeah.
Jamie, are you trying to write this off as a business expense?
When you go see him, ask him if he'll come on our podcast.
No, absolutely do not ask him.
But if any listeners are like, oh, this is cool, I want to see this guy. In September, he's going to be in the play Ashland Avenue at the Goodman Theater, starring alongside Jenna Fisher.
All right.
And
Wow.
then in November, he's going to be in Amadeus at the Steppenwolf. So, 2 opportunities this year to see him in a play.
Very
Anyways, so I got really excited. I was like, I know this guy. I've seen him before.
Awesome.
The general then asks Malcolm and Archer, which one of you is the captain? And they kind of look at each other like, how does he know one of us is the captain? And he says that when he was examining their device, someone named T'Pol called and asked for the captain.
Jesus Christ. Operational security is blown on this.
Though you have to wonder, how did he understand what she was saying?
Yeah, sure. No, don't think about it. Don't think about it.
Don't think about it.
Everybody's
Don't
speaking
think about
English.
it too hard.
Everyone is speaking 20th century American English. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Archer says that he is the captain, but not of the Alliance military. And then we get one of what will be many cliche interrogation scenes in this episode. They ask him questions. Archer won't answer. They hit him.
Hey, we haven't had Archer getting the shit kicked out of him in a while,
It's been
though.
a while.
He
It's been a bit.
definitely
Yeah, it's
gets
been a while.
the shit kicked out of him in this episode.
I think
A
this is the
bunch.
first time in season 2 it's happened.
Speaking of which, not only does that all happen, but then it happens again. We go through a second round where they ask him more questions and he doesn't answer, and then they beat him up again. And they also beat up Malcolm that time. So Archer's picking himself up after the second beating, and the general looks at him kind of funny and comes closer to him and is looking at his face, and then reaches up and pulls some of the forehead makeup off.
Oh,
wow.
And he exclaims that they've been surgically altered.
Well, no, if we'd been surgically altered, you wouldn't have been able to rip that makeup
Exactly,
off.
yeah.
Well, no, I think the idea
Yeah, no,
is that the smooth forehead was because of the surgical.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
A guard then takes a closer look at Malcolm's face and is shocked to see that his blood is red.
Oh.
Because apparently these aliens do not have red blood. This very much concerns the general. And so he sends them to be examined by a doctor. Because they're very much like, what the fuck is happening?
They're about to get dissected.
Back on the Enterprise, they have figured out that Archer and Malcolm were brought to a heavily guarded military prison, which, topical. Hopefully there's anybody listening to this, because by the time this airs, we could just all be in military prisons.
Oh, God. This is supposed to be my escape from real life, Jamie.
Sorry. Trip wants to take Shuttlepod 2 down, like, and basically park it in the prison courtyard, get in, rescue them, and then get out. Because again, like, apparently they forgot that transporters exist. But T'Pol points out that if he is captured, now they're going to have the Shuttlepod, even more technology. So she's just like, that's too risky.
We have to ignite the atmosphere.
If we kill them all, then there won't be any cultural contamination.
Archer, Malcolm, hold your breath.
Trip then says that they still have that Suliban cell ship, the one from the pilot episode when they rescued Clang.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, apparently.
All right.
They have had this whole time. And Trip has been working on it in his free time to try to figure out how the cloaking device works, despite the fact that they have never mentioned this.
He's got it up on cinder blocks in the front yard like a true Florida man.
And also, there was a different Suliban cell ship that this could be, because Archer in the season 2, the first episode.
He brought
one back. Yeah. So, like, I don't understand in this why they have Trip be like, remember the Suliban ship from when we rescued Clang? Instead of just the one that they just got a couple months before, but whatever.
Whatever.
But he said that he's been working on it nonstop for like over a year trying to get the cloaking device to work. But he hasn't gotten it working yet. But he's like, what if I go get it working right now? Despite the fact that I've been working on it over a year and I haven't gotten it. He's like, what if I go get it working right now? And then we take the cloaked ship down, park that in the courtyard, go and get Archer Malcolm, and then get out before anyone even sees us.
Please tell me it has flames painted on the side.
T'Pol is like, great idea. Go get the cloak working. So Trip and Travis go to figure out how to get the cloak working. So Trip and Travis are working on this Suliban ship, and Trip is like fucking around with something on the ship, and suddenly there's like this small energy explosion. There's not like flames or anything. It's energy, like a force explosion, and he's thrown back. But he starts getting up. He's like wiping himself off. He's like, I'm fine. I just got the wind knocked out of me. And Travis looks at him in horror and goes, maybe a bit more than that. And Trip looks down at his right arm, and it is fully missing, like
holy
below, like just like above where his elbow is, and everything below that is just gone.
Half of his arm.
He lost his arm.
Okay, all right. The invisible Trip.
When we get back from a commercial break, Phlox is examining Trip in sickbay. And Phlox says that other than his arm being invisible, Trip is totally fine. He thinks that he just received an intense dose of particle radiation, which is, I guess, used for the cloaking device, and then that somehow cloaked his arm, but that it will probably rematerialize on its own. And then he gives him a rubber glove to put on his hand in the meantime.
Oh my God.
And tells him to get a new uniform, because it also like cloaked that part of the uniform.
Yeah, because if you have a glove on and if you have clothes up to here, then you're not going to notice that your arm
they don't have to do more effects.
Okay.
That way he doesn't have to wear a green sleeve the entire episode.
Yeah.
While he's filming.
Back on the planet, the general and his men are testing out the phaser that they confiscated from Malcolm. And they're like, this is like a really advanced weapon technology. And they're like, it's like scary that the Alliance has this. And they're very worried that their enemies might have this technology.
And also these aliens, like monsters, basically.
Well, then a man comes in to give him the results of the medical exam. And their biology is extremely strange, but there is no evidence of any surgery. And the doctor says that it appears that they are from a different species. Additionally, a surveillance aircraft took an image of something coming in from the atmosphere at high speed, which we see is an image of the shuttle pod. Based on all this, the general concludes that they must be aliens. So he confronts Archer and Malcolm with all of this evidence. He even says that based on these images of what appears to be a shuttle pod, it doesn't seem like it could do like long distance travel outside of the solar system. And they know that there's no other intelligent life in their solar system. So he says that he thinks that there's probably a bigger ship like out of their scanning range that the shuttle came down from, which is true.
Smart.
Like, so I can tell you that through this episode, he is quite smart and quite willing to like change his mind on things and to kind of put two and two together.
He's not like Mr. Military. Like, there's always that Mr. Military, you're the enemy no matter what. It's the guy who's like, no, maybe these guys actually know maybe they're telling the truth, or, maybe there's something we don't know that's going on. Okay.
Right. Yeah, he seems really smart. He knows like something really weird is going on. So again, he confronts Archer and Malcolm with all this. And again, interrogation, they don't say anything. They get beat up. After getting beat up a bit, Archer laughs and is like, alien creatures, you're even more delusional than we thought.
You're more delusional than the Vulcan Science Directorate. Who determined it? Oh, wait, shit. You're not supposed to know about them.
And then he confesses to being an Alliance spy.
Why?
Oh my God, why? Do we know why?
We'll get there.
No. Okay.
He says that the photo of the so-called spacecraft is actually an experimental airplane that can like evade their sensors. And the biological anomalies are genetic enhancements because the Alliance has been building perfect soldiers.
And the guy's like, so why do you suck so much? Like, I just beat the shit out of you. You're not exactly a perfect soldier. And we caught you in approximately 5 minutes.
Archer and Malcolm are sent back to their cell, and after they leave, the general talks with his men, and they are pretty skeptical about what Archer just told them, but they all agree that it is also plausible. Like, it's...
Right.
It does. They're skeptical because this is like extremely advanced technology, but like it's just as plausible as these are aliens from outer space.
Well, also when you brought up the statement, oh, you've been surgically altered, like presumably all the aliens on this planet look alike. It wouldn't make sense to surgically alter yourself to have a smooth forehead and then add bumps with makeup.
Yeah.
So they're pretty skeptical, and he's like, I want confirmation because right now we have these two theories and I don't know which one is true. And the doctor says that the only way that he would be able to confirm it is with an autopsy. So the general turns to his men and tells them to schedule the execution.
Yeah.
Or a biopsy.
Apparently, he said that he did all the tests that he can do, he ran every test he could think of, and any other test he would have to examine their organs.
Yeah, I mean, they've already like taken their blood and shit, right? They
apparently did like a whole whatever their medical exam was.
All right. Alien autopsy episode.
Let's hope we don't get there. Back on the Enterprise, Trip and Travis are still working on the Suliban ship. Trip just now has his glove on. Travis tells Trip that a cloaked hand could actually have some advantages. For example, it could be helpful, on a movie night if you've got a good date.
Ew, I was waiting for something gross to happen with that hand.
Travis. And Trip gives him an "are you kidding me" with this look, and then Travis smiles and goes, in case you want to steal some popcorn.
Oh.
I love Travis. He's kind of adorable.
10 years old. He is adorable.
Because Malcolm would have said that and meant it.
Yeah,
and Travis was clearly joking. He was just like trying to set him up for a joke. And then T'Pol comes in and tells them that they are out of time because Hoshi has been intercepting communications from the planet. And in one of them, they said that the captured spies are going to be executed in less than 2 hours.
Oops.
And Trip is like, all right, let's get going. Let's get down there. I will get the cloak working as we're flying down to the planet.
But here's the thing. The race has a god who is missing an arm, and...
He has an arm. It's just invisible.
Yeah, but if an armless man shows up and your god is armless, then...
And so
Wait, hold a second. One of your 2 truths and a lie was that that Trip loses an arm. So is that a truth or a lie, Jamie?
Sorry, he does. It was the truth. He loses his arm.
The truth, he loses his arm.
He knows where it is. He just can't see it.
Trip says that even if he can't get the cloak working on the way down, he still thinks they should go. The Suliban ship apparently can be under heavy fire, and he thinks it'll do better than Shuttle Pod 2. And T'Pol agrees, so they prepare for launch.
Oh, my lord.
Archer and Malcolm are in their cell contemplating their impending deaths, which we've seen Malcolm do so many times.
Malcolm starts writing letters. Thank you.
letters.
I was going there. Can I have a quill pen and some papyrus?
Malcolm is pretty annoyed about the situation. He tells Archer that they are giving their lives to protect people who want to kill them. And Archer is clearly like starting to question his own, like, let's not tell them we're really aliens. And then
Well, they know they're aliens.
No, they think that they're Alliance spies. But
Well,
they think they could be aliens. But
Okay.
then Archer
They
told
might
them they
be
were Alliance
aliens.
spies, and they're like, that's plausible. They're like not sure. Archer asks Malcolm if maybe they should just tell them the truth. And Malcolm responds, "You said it yourself, Captain. They'll never believe us."
I mean,
Well, they're going to believe you after they open your organs up.
Also, the general just straight up asked them if they were aliens.
right. Just say yes.
His first conclusion is like, it seems like these are aliens. And they're like, no. We're going to give you a totally different thing to make you think we're not. But now Archer's like, he'll never believe us if we tell him. Even though he so doesn't believe their Alliance spy theory that he is going to execute them so that they can do an autopsy to see if they're actually aliens.
This is a real witch hunt, literal witch hunt. Like, is she a witch? If they're a witch, they'll sink if they get thrown into the water.
But Archer's like, if we tell them the truth, they will never believe us.
Have they said how they're going to execute them? Is it going to be like, bullet to the head? Or is
They're
it like
going to hang
firing
them.
Squad? They're going to
It's
what?
gallows.
hang
They're
them.
going to hang them at the gallows.
Okay.
I do feel like if you're gonna dissect something, you want to
Yeah.
kill it in a better
Good
way.
point.
Right.
That makes
yeah.
sense.
It's just- yeah. Okay.
Archer tells Malcolm that he's had plenty of lectures on cultural contamination from T'Pol, and she never mentioned anything about sacrificing crewmen to prevent it, because apparently this is all T'Pol's fault somehow.
Oh, now you're listening to conversations about cultural contamination? The fuck? How dare you?
So he even points out that the Vulcans waited to introduce themselves to humanity until humans were ready, and says that these people are not ready yet.
If there was a prime directive, I would agree with him. But there is no prime directive.
Yeah, but T'Pol has been telling him how important it is not to have cultural contamination with pre-warp societies, and he does not want to mess up their society.
Archer's like, I would rather be executed than listen to another fucking lecture from DePaul about cultural contamination. I'm willing to end my life and yours, Malcolm.
That is
really-
the only plausible explanation for this that I have found so far.
T'Pol has convinced him so thoroughly that he is willing to give his life for this, because he doesn't want to mess up this society, because the stuff he's done so far has not
Right. No, they're doing so well,
messed
yeah.
them up.
Mhm.
Well, I don't want to mess up another society. Is what
Yeah. But just the fact that it definitely makes it sound like this is all T'Pol's fault. And Eric was like, blaming T'Pol is Archer's thanks Obama. Like, thanks T'Pol. We're about to get
T'Pol.
executed. Thanks T'Pol.
I know I've made this joke before with Archer, probably about Malcolm, but are we going to get into a situation later where we realize that Archer is the only one who's been talking to T'Pol this entire time and nobody else has seen or heard her? Is T'Pol in the room with us right now, Captain Archer?
Archer tells Malcolm that they are doing the right thing by going to their deaths to protect this culture from contamination, and guards then come in to take them to the gallows.
Ba-ba-bum.
Does it look exactly like the gallows that we know from American TV and film, where it's like 13 steps
yeah, they're gonna look exactly like that.
Perfect.
Like a wooden gallows. Yeah. Meanwhile, T'Pol, Trip, and Travis are heading down on the Suliban cell ship. They start out cloaked, so somehow they get the cloak working, but then something goes wrong and the cloak just like turns off. And then since they don't really understand how the ship works, their other systems start turning on that makes them visible on the sensors that the aliens use. Because they did mention earlier, their shuttle pod, because they polarized the hull plating, it wasn't visible on the sensors that the aliens have.
I love Maria. The hazard lights will go off. The horn starts playing La Cucaracha. This car is protected by Viper. Please stand back.
I mean, honestly, that's kind of what's happening. There's like lights going on. There's like beeping. It's like...
There's big arrows that say, look here.
I mean, that's kind of what's going on. They're all in a panic. And now they're able to be spotted by the alien sensors. So now their military aircraft notice them and start like going towards them. And they get into a bit of a dogfight. They're like swerving. There's like these military aircraft are like shooting at them.
What do they look like?
They look like World War II aircraft, sort of.
Okay.
Like not quite, but like that's
Okay.
basically what they're doing. And then Trip manages to get the cloaking turns back on, so they go back to being invisible and are able to get out of the dogfight.
We were never here.
Great work.
And then we see Malcolm and Archer at the gallows, getting the rope put around their neck. As you said, Bill, it's like the wooden gallows. It looks like in every movie. And then we hear this like weird noise, and suddenly there's like wind, like there's dust going up, and it's clear that the cell ship is landing. And everyone on that ship then jumps out of thin air and starts just shooting all the military guys with phasers.
Great.
So while everybody is busy shooting at each other, Archer...
T'Pol is in the away mission, right? T'Pol is on the
T'Pol
ship.
is there too.
So she don't give a fuck about cultural contamination, is what I'm hearing.
At this point, it's clear that she's decided that it's more important to save them.
I mean, let's be clear. T'Pol is probably thinking, I mean, they've probably already fucked it up. I may as well go rescue them. Who knows what they've said down there.
While everyone is busy shooting at each other, Archer runs back into the building to get all the tech that was confiscated.
Good.
He also grabs the scans of their bodies. I guess those were the only copies and there's no other documentation or test results. I don't know. It's just like the body scans, but okay. Once he gets back, everyone jumps into the invisible cell ship, and we see the general watching them curiously as an invisible door comes down over them. And he looks very worried about what this could mean for the Alliance. Because again, he believes that this is Alliance technology.
I really want them to be like, as the door is going down, they're just flipping them off. Like, hey, see you guys.
All right, I think I know where this is going. Okay.
Do you want to say?
I think
I want to hear your theory, Bill.
I think that this convinces the general that the Alliance has so much technology that pursuing this world war is a futile idea and they should make peace with them, and it's all peace and flowers and bunnies.
Well, good news, we never see the general again or find out what happens.
Oh, okay. I am batting 1,000 for shit that could have done, but okay.
This is...
Well, this is the most obvious idea of what could happen. No.
100% in line with Enterprise.
Jesus Christ. They have to have a whole fucking division of Cerritos-class ships that just do second contact with Enterprise civilizations. We're so sorry.
We're so sorry.
Now, everyone is jammed into the tiny cell ship. They're going to the shuttle pods to drop some people off so that they can also bring the shuttle pod back. And then Archer is like looking for something in his pockets and starts to get very worried, gets a panicked look on his face. And then Malcolm, with a smirk, goes, "Looking for this?" and hands him his communicator.
It is too fucking soon, Malcolm.
Back on the Enterprise, T'Pol and Archer are chatting in his quarters. Archer tells her that he's glad that she took the risk to save them. It's very clear that he is looking for approval from T'Pol. He tells her that it's a good thing that he managed to get all their tech back because it would have done so much damage to those people if they had left anything behind. And T'Pol replies, "We did do damage to those people. You don't have to leave technology behind to contaminate a culture."
Yeah.
And Archer's face drops as he realizes what I have been yelling at the TV screen for this entire episode.
Right.
That they have just led one side in a war to believe that their enemy has highly advanced technology, genetically enhanced soldiers, particle weapons, invisible aircraft.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty serious.
It is, but because they will never be able to duplicate that, get those results ever again, that guy is basically just gonna become a crackpot.
I don't know. I mean, there were so many people there that saw it. All these people were shot by the phasers. Like, I think, especially like, even if they are so far behind, like they would never be able to create those weapons, it could still affect the talks. Like maybe if the other civilization like is like in peace talks, they could be like, no, like we'll only have peace if you like give us or you share your technology for these weapons or something. And the other side is going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
No,
there's no weapons.
This is another what would Archer do, now do the opposite thing situation for
Or,
future
like,
captains.
They may not be able to create like a particle weapon, but certainly they may not be far from like splitting the atom, or they could just like decide that this technology is so dangerous that they should just bomb the shit out of this and just destroy everybody in this other civilization.
Or they could say, no, it's so dangerous, we have to surrender, and they're the bad, like the other civilization is the bad guy. We don't know.
Right.
Like we don't, again, as per Enterprise's habit, we have no idea what the actual conflict's about. So it's impossible for us to tell one way or the other.
So much of every other Star Trek series is about us, about where is America now. It's like, what are we dealing with? This show does not have that veil has been torn away. It's just like, what's the most fucked up thing we can do in this universe?
Yeah.
But to Archer's credit, he realizes what he did wrong. Like you can see it kind of dawn on his face, and he doesn't get mad about it or try to evade it or blame T'Pol for it.
What?
He just sort of realizes it and is like, oh, oops. Kind of. So, he doesn't say that, but he's like, oh, yeah, I like, he knows that he fucked up. He doesn't say it out loud because it's Archer, but you can see it on his face.
Good.
T'Pol then turns to leave, and right before she leaves, she stops, turns around, and tells Archer, "You were willing to sacrifice your life to protect them. I would not have expected that." And then she leaves. Basically, like, it's like saying nice try and giving him a little pat on his head. Like, you tried so hard. You fucked it up, but you tried. You tried so hard. I saw how much you tried.
Who's a good boy?
Final scene, because Trip's arm is still cloaked.
Oh, right.
So that never paid off at all. In any way, shape, or form. No, okay.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Trip is in sickbay. He's having his restored hand inspected by Phlox. It's all looking pretty good, but there is just one little spot, like in the middle of the back of his hand, that is still see-through, like one little
cute
circle. But other than that, it's back.
I'm so disappointed.
He has stigmata?
Yeah, basically, like, that's where it is. Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Okay.
I mean, he could have had the best puppet show ever, or like something.
Only you, Maria. Like, there's no part of me that would be like, whoa, you could do the coolest puppet show with this.
If you couldn't see my arm, my puppetry would be amazing.
What sense does that make? Because you put the puppet over the arm.
Yeah, but if it's, I'm assuming most of his arm was free.
It was just like above the elbow. So he had like a little bit, like shoulder and a little bit, and then it was
my
gone.
lord.
I mean, to be fair, I would want to cloak my head too, because it's more your head that's the problem. But
Jamie, if you had 100% told me that Tripp's arm became invisible and he thought, now I can use this to infiltrate the camp, and Paul had to explain to him, well, they can see the rest of you.
This episode, it had a lot of good stuff going for it. I really loved the actor, Francis Guinan, that played the general. Like, he was so good. You can tell he's a stage actor. He's very, like, scenery chewing. Like, he was great. And he was, the way he was, like, so thoughtful. He wasn't doing an over-the-top military general. You can tell he's, like, a responsible, good at being a general man, just from the way he acted the part. So I thought that was great. But there was just so much in this episode that made no sense. The fact that Archer insisted that they had to die rather than tell the aliens the truth because they won't believe them when they were already primed to believe them.
It makes no sense.
It's basically like Archer being like, they won't believe us. And then these aliens being like, are you aliens? And Archer going, they'll never believe us.
Yeah. There's no point. They're never going to believe us.
They are literally about to execute you so they can examine your bodies to find out if you're aliens.
And honestly, like, if he had told them they were aliens, it would have been less damaging than telling them they were part of the Alliance.
Exactly. This is so much more damaging. What he did, I mean, this is like he's done a lot of bad things, but this is one of the worst ones. He has irrevocably harmed an entire culture.
Right.
And very likely led to a really bad war, lots of deaths. Like, this is real bad, and like changed the whole course of how the society would go. And he did it all in the name of protecting the culture. He didn't have to do it, but he's like, I want to protect them so much that I'm going to do this, which is so much worse.
It's so over the top. I wish I had some guidelines that would tell me in different scenarios what I could and couldn't do.
You wish you had some kind of
directive.
Directive?
Maybe like a main directive of some sort.
It can't be secondary or tertiary. It has to be really.
Sir, the prime rib is ready. Shall I serve it to you now?
Aha!
And I kind of get, like, I do feel like, as Star Trek fans, when I think about the Prime Directive, I'm like, the Prime Directive is like, you can't, like, tell them about aliens or whatever. But really, it's just about, like, you don't want to damage them, and you don't want to damage their culture. And what he did was so much worse.
Mm-hmm. And the Prime Directive isn't just like one line. Like, it's a whole, my understanding is it's a whole series of here's how you should behave in different scenarios. I'm sure it's like a whole, like, 50-page booklet of all that information. It's a terms of service. You know, like, there's details in there. These episodes, the episodes where they get discovered by a pre-warp or by, like, they go back in time and those are actually my least favorite Star Trek episodes. I get so bored with the amount of time it takes to convince the local government that you're not evil, or to go through. It's always like there's a bunch of interrogation
counterpoint,
and all
that time that the Ferengi went to Roswell was very fun.
Right.
Yeah, that was the one like that was fun, but the reason that was fun was because the Ferengi fucked with them immediately. Yeah. Like, they didn't give a shit about the Prime Directive. They were just like, we definitely, they weren't held back by the Prime Directive. They were able to be like, all right, like, this is the situation, we're gonna fix it. But it was just, Star Trek's done it many, many times, and I just, for whatever reason, I get real bored with it, because you're like, these guys are gonna think you're part of the opposition or whatever, and eventually you're gonna fly away, and it doesn't ever actually matter.
No, in 20 years, this entire planet is gonna have a nuclear war that destroys everyone.
Mm-hmm. Looks that way.
Because of what Archer did. And the path that he set them on. saying all that, I do kind of love the character development for Archer in this episode. You can see that his experience out in deep space has really changed him, and it's helped him to not only understand why the Vulcans treat humans the way they do, but actually kind of agree with it. Like, we see him in this case, he's basically taking on that Vulcan role. He is really concerned about their culture. I mean, yeah, he does it in a way that fucks it up, but he's like wrong, really concerned about it. When Malcolm is like, hey, like, why don't we just tell them, like, and then, like, we could, like, help them. And Archer's like, no, remember, like, the Vulcans waited with us, and we should wait with them the way the Vulcans waited with us. And that is something that Archer never would have said a year ago. Yeah. I definitely see it as, like, Archer, now that he's out in deep space making these first contacts, he's starting to, like, look at the Vulcans and, like, understand their point of view in a way we've never seen from him before.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, I mean, last week when we were talking about Dead Stop, we were, like, that was one of the things was, like, how come Archer is, like, taking the side of the Vulcans? Like, how come he's buying in? And maybe that is...
Yeah,
Maybe that's part of it. I don't want to give them more credit than is due, but maybe.
And I also loved the final scene he had with T'Pol. I think it's the first time that we've ever seen him, like, really want her approval or care this much about what she thinks of him. Like, when he tells her this, he is so proud of himself. He's like, I was willing to die to not tell them that I'm an alien. And he's like sure that she's going to approve of this. And he like wants her approval so badly to the point where I'm like, it kind of seems like the reason he was so insistent that they not tell them and that they just die instead is because of how much he thinks that would matter to T'Pol.
Yeah, and then she's like, you done fucked up anyway.
Yeah. But I just don't feel like we've ever got him, like, acting like he, like, looks up to her and recognizes her expertise and wants to live up to her expectations. I've just never seen this side of Archer before, and it's kind of a new dynamic between them, and I really hope it sticks around because I liked it a lot. I mean, he totally fucked it up, but...
Well, sure, but
I did like it.
Between those two characters, that dynamic has always been so much about, I don't trust you, and also everything is your fault, that him admitting that she has something valuable to say and her perspective is valuable and has changed him is a big fucking deal. It's a huge deal.
Oh, yeah. So I kind of loved that last scene for those reasons.
Yeah, I like it.
Two truths and a lie outcome. Trip loses an arm. He did lose his arm. Archer did show appreciation for T'Pol's advice and put it into practice. Okay. In a totally fucked up way, but he did it.
Yep.
And Trip did not make fun of the name of an alien species. The Porthos good boy scale. How good of a boy was Porthos on this episode? We did not see any Porthos. Not one
bullshit.
Porthos. Apparently, they did not decide. They did not decide to take Porthos down to
the episode is called The Porthos.
They put forehead makeup on him
and they're going through decon, and Archer is like checking his pockets. It's right here.
Oh, that would have been amazing if they gave Porthos little forehead bumps and the aliens flicked them off. And what is this?
The saucy section for how sexy the episode was, it was not particularly sexy. I mean, maybe if you're like into men in uniforms, though. I guess I don't know.
I'm into men with uniforms for sure.
But these uniforms, they were kind of giving Nazi a little bit. So
well, not that kind of uniform.
It was just too World War II. I was like, yeah, I don't know. And they had like this red patch. I'm just like, I don't know about these uniforms.
I like the Nazi fighting uniforms, not the Nazi uniforms.
Yes. And we never got any sense for like, are they bad guys, good guys? Yeah. Like they're just like we don't know. It almost doesn't really matter.
That's what I was saying. Like they never dig in deep enough. Like same with like Desert Crossing. We never actually know what the conflict's about enough to be able to tell who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. Or
this raises the question: what the fuck did they learn by going down to the planet in the first place?
I mean, the aesthetic was definitely giving Nazi, though. Like, their uniforms, kind of. I mean, I don't know. I'm not super familiar with history, so I could be way off. And also the fact that there was, like, this big political rally. I was just, it felt bad, but you just never got a sense for who they were or what their values were or anything.
Yeah.
Never asked, never answered for something in the episode that made no sense and was never explained. What are these aliens called? These aliens are never named. Not once. Never named. I watched the episode twice, once with subtitles, and I am telling you, we never get the name of these aliens.
Oh my
Great
God.
work.
Technical difficulties for some, like, technobabble. When the general gets Malcolm and Archer's medical exam results, the things he is shocked by are, one, they have a redundant renal organ. Those are kidneys, so they have two kidneys.
Okay. 2 kidneys, okay.
They are missing 4 thoracic vertebrae. I looked it up. Humans, it's basically like the vertebrae in your spine. Humans have 12, which means these aliens must have 16.
All right.
So they're flexible.
3, there's an unknown mass that they can't explain. I'm guessing that's probably the appendix.
Oh, I thought the crotch. Okay, fair enough.
Maybe. And 4, their blood is red because it's based on iron, which is a toxic element to these aliens.
Oh.
Oh.
So I
Archer,
thought those were all fun.
Archer cuts his thumb. It's ha 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 ha, throwing it at them.
You can definitely tell that there was a science advisor on this. Because, you know, the writers of the show are not coming up with redundant renal organ to describe a kidney.
Oh, no, not at all.
What the Phlox, the creepiest thing Phlox said or did on the episode, or, like, weirdest thing. When Phlox is examining Trip in sickbay after his arm got cloaked, Phlox asks him if he can wiggle his fingers, and Trip, you can kind of see him hold his arm up because you see his like shoulder go up, and then you don't see anything, and Trip goes, "How's this?" And Phlox replies, "You tell me." Just like a fun little scene. Yes, chef, for any mentions of chef or any food. No mentions of chef, and there was no food that I can recall. I was trying to remember the bar. I think there might have been drinks, but I don't think there was any food. And finally, our final segment, where is HR? It's kind of fucked up that Archer, as Malcolm's boss, was basically ordering him to die with him.
Well, yes.
I know, but in the military.
Right.
Yeah, I get they're like a quasi-military organization and you do dangerous things, but not usually like they could have gotten out of this situation. There were potential ways out of this mess, and Archer was basically like made the decision that it was more important for them to not say anything. It's not like they're like actual enemy spies that were captured and had orders to like die before they say anything. I don't know. I just felt like, especially, I think what annoys me about it is like they're doing this for a reason that is not true, essentially, right? Like they're doing this to not hurt this culture, but by doing it, they are hurting the culture more. And they're going to die. And he's like, Malcolm is very skeptical about whether the right thing is to just go to the let them take him to the gallows. And Archer is like, we are doing the right thing.
This show could be so interesting. Like, I like them fucking up. I like them, making the wrong decision here. Like, I like them thinking that they're making the right decision and actually making the wrong decision. But because we never have any follow-up about this culture and what actually happens, like, if the last scene was the military organization like nuking the alliance because they were like, these guys are clearly too powerful, we got to get rid of them, that would be interesting, right? Like if it was like that, we see what the problem is, like we see how they fucked up and how this has impacted the culture, that to me would be interesting.
But the optimistic, or dare I say Star Trek ending would be that, we need to engage in peace negotiations with the Alliance because obviously they've been engaged with these aliens and stuff. But yeah.
The problem is the script, right? Like, you could have fixed this episode with minor tweaks to the script. If you had the general looked at all the stuff all this evidence that he got and jumped to their enemy spies for the Alliance that have been genetically, like if he's the one that came up with that theory,
right?
And Archer was like, we can't tell them that we're actually aliens, it would actually have fixed a lot of the problems with this episode. You still have Archer fucking up, and actually it would have just been better to tell them. But at least first of all, it would make more sense. You don't have the weird line about they'll never believe us when like they clearly would believe you.
Right.
And then you don't have Archer like coming up and Archer being the one telling them that they're the enemy spies, which is the thing that's going to fuck up their culture the most. I just feel like some small tweaks to this episode would have made it really good, because there is a lot to like about this episode.
Yeah.
There would have been a fantastic episode of TNG in this situation. Picard, or probably Riker, because Riker did the away missions, looked the general in the eye and said, you have one of two choices. Either I am an Alliance soldier and we have technology so advanced we could destroy you, or I am an alien, and your world has just opened up so much, and you need to decide what you're going to do with this information.
And that is such a Star Trek idea.
Yes.
The idea that, well, it's a human idea. Like the idea that realizing that there is actually alien life out there, and the universe is so much bigger than we thought it was, and now we got to figure our shit out on this planet, is such a Star Trek idea, right? And why would you not have that happen?
But this show, the writing and the show running of the show cannot engage with any idea larger than how does this affect Archer.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Another way they could have played this is Archer finally admitting the truth, and then that last scene with T'Pol could have been him like feeling really like down and like he messed up, and going to T'Pol and being like, I know that you told me this, but I didn't see any other choice. And her being impressed with him and actually approving of his actions. Like that would have been a really big, interesting twist on that final scene.
This show.
And with that, this brings us to the segment of our show we like to call Will's Holorex. We all know what one William Riker is doing in his holodeck. That's right, he is binging Enterprise. But what do we think he should be doing instead? Bill, what is your recommendation today?
Before I do my recommendation, brought to you by Eric, trademark, quick update on something I recommended early in the series, the anime and manga series 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You a Lot. I described it as like you a lot. The anime has currently had its second season, which is fantastic. And in the manga series, we're up to girlfriend number 32, so check that out. My actual recommendation is I have been playing the new Sid Meier's Civilization 7.
Oh, how's that?
My recommendation is for Cyberpunk 2077, which when it launched was an absolutely disaster of a video game, which over the 2-3 years has become good, has become a truly, truly great game. And I hope that Sid Meier's Civilization 7 also becomes good, because it is not.
That's why I haven't played it yet. I just feel like these games need like a good year for them to work out all the bugs.
Absolutely do not spend the money to play Sid Meier's Civilization. If you like Civilization, do not buy Sid Meier. Do not buy Civilization 7.
Civilization 7 is your Thomas recommendation? Your anti-recommendation?
It is in no way a recommendation to play that, because I have spent $70 on it.
No, Thomas recommendation.
Yeah, the Thomas recommendations are the anti-recommendations.
It is my Mirror Universe recommendation.
Yes, Bill, that's the joke.
But that's what we're talking about.
I understand.
That's what I did for Section 31. It was my Thomas recommendation.
Yeah. Brian came up with the phrase Thomas.
I'm going to go further. That would be my Mirror Universe. Yeah, so Cyberpunk 2077, which has become a very, very, very good video game.
All right.
Maria, what is your recommendation today?
My recommendation is you're going to be shocked, a British show.
Called Are You Being Served?
That That's later. A British show called Taskmaster, which I had heard of but never actually watched. And it's a kind of a panel game show, but basically the host is a comedian named Greg Davies, and he has, every season he has 5 celebrities, and mostly they're comedians, and he just makes them complete various challenges, and then he judges them. It is so much fun. They have tasks like, here's a giant block of ice, get rid of it, you have an hour. And like, or here's a huge boulder, take it as far away from here as possible. And they just have to figure it out. It's so much fun. So yes, Taskmaster. I have only found it streaming on Pluto TV. So you have to watch it with ads, but I think like there's many series, just like every other British show. I'm
sorry.
fun.
Did you say Pluto TV? Like the not a planet Pluto?
Yeah.
Have you
TV?
never watched Pluto TV? Oh my
I've
God.
never heard of Pluto TV.
That's where I watched the original Iron Chef all the time.
Pluto TV.
Yep.
It's one of those free TV apps.
Yep.
All right, and now we're on my recommendation. My recommendation today is to go see some live theater. We all watch so many movies and TV, but with theater, like it really is. It's like that, but like truly, like you're getting a one-of-a-kind performance. There's something so visceral about it. I'm surprised at how many like friends I have that just they never go to like a live theater performance, and it really is just it's an experience that you can't get doing anything else, and it feels really special when you're there.
That's such a great recommendation. And also, like, go to your local community theater. You know, my partner, Steven, is a theater trained actor, and does a lot of community theater. And it is so much fun. And also, like, just a really, like, good opportunity to see shows that maybe you've never seen before or are interesting and fun and, you know, to see the people in your community who are doing this stuff. It's real fun.
Can you tell them to turn on subtitles and do it at 1.25 speed?
No, Bill, that's the point. But you can
but
at the end of
opera.
the show. At the end of the show, you can go and tell the actors how much you like their work.
I want to point out that opera does have subtitles.
Yes.
When you go to the opera, there are subtitles above it. So for anybody who's never been to the opera, I think it sounds really intimidating if you've never been. But actually, it's essentially just a musical, but subtitled.
Nice.
So, and as Maria was saying, community theater, also high schools put on lots of performances, especially musicals. I know the Hadestown musical it started licensing a high school version of the Hadestown musical, and every high school is doing it. Like every high school has bought this. So like if you want to see Hadestown and the Broadway traveling show is not coming to your city, you should go see your local high school put it on.
Here's a pro tip. If you're at a musical and you don't like the song, you can just yell out skip and they'll move on to the next thing.
But also, like Maria said, you don't even necessarily need to know what it is. Some of the best plays I've ever seen are ones where I read the description ahead of time and was like, this doesn't sound good, but it was like part of my package. And I went and I'm like, this is so good.
Yeah.
Also, like sometimes I've definitely been to plays where it sounded really good and then I got there and it kind of sucked. I also give people permission to leave at intermission if you don't like it. I'm very bad about that. I'm always like, it's going to get better in the second half. It never gets better in the second half. Let me tell you.
I will say the actors do prefer if you don't leave during intermission because it makes them feel real shitty if you leave. However, if you have
maybe
to
not
leave,
like
fucking
community
leave.
theater, but
Community theater when there's like 20 people in the audience, don't leave. It's
let
not
me
great.
tell
Don't
you,
leave
trying
in
to
the
get
middle
through a
of-
Pinter play, not a fan.
Yeah. I mean, the last show that Steven did was Waiting for Godot, and I saw him perform it 3 times, and every single person in that show was brilliant, and that show was not the show for me. I would have walked
tough
out
one.
if it wasn't people I love doing that show.
Also, usually, at least not for like community theater and stuff, but for other theater, you can almost always find discounted tickets because a lot of theater is quite expensive. And basically, if you just Google like discounted theater tickets in your city, almost every theater releases discounted tickets specifically for like people who can't afford the main theater price. So anyways, go to a theater, watch some plays, go to the opera, go to a musical, go to a high school or a community production. If you're going to be in Chicago in the fall, go see Ashland Avenue or Amadeus if you want to see Frances Guinan. I've already got my tickets for those. And that's the show. Thanks for listening. Next week, we will revisit this episode as a second contact and hear Maria and Bill's thoughts once they have actually watched it. And in 2 weeks, Bill is going to tell us about the episode Singularity. Oof. And we may have a special astronomer guest on that episode who I'm sure will be very impressed with all the good science that will be in an episode called Singularity.
I'm sure it'll be great.
Special thanks to K.O. Myers at Particulate Media for sound assistance, to our friend David for his beautiful cover art, and to John Stephen King for being the voice of our computer. If you liked the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on your podcast app of choice and tell your friends about it. We really appreciate it. It truly, if you are using Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Pocket Casts, those all have rating systems, and you don't even have to write anything. You just go and give it a star rating, and it really helps other people find the podcast if you give us some stars, and it truly takes like 2 seconds to do. And if you have Apple Podcasts, you can also write a review. Only a couple people have done that, and we get so excited when people actually like write a review for us. So please do that if you have the time. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook as @EnterpriseSplaining and on Blue Sky as @EnterpriseSplain. You can also email us any comments or questions such as, so what were the names of the aliens in this episode? to enterprisesplaining@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. If you want to support this podcast, you can find us on Buy Me a Coffee as Enterprise Splaining. See you next week.
Bye.
Computer and program.
All right, Amos, this is a problem because that's my script. This is my script underneath him.
Cats are...
Amos, can I please?
So then a giant cat shows up, and
Amos, can I please have this piece of paper?
The rest of this
from you?
episode will be about cats.
Amos, can you not sit on my
a
script,
giant cat
please?
attacks the bar.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.